on the campaign trail by Hector. Hector for Freedom, actually.
I understand.
It's easier to remember, and
Yes.
I am the only Hector on the ballot, so I thought people would go there and see Hector and vote for me on August 3rd.
We're going to get into that, but I want the audience to know a little bit about you.
Well, you know, I have an interesting story. A lot of people have told me, you should write a book because you are the epitome of the American dream. And I said, nah, life's not interesting enough. And then I started thinking about it, and I said, you know, I should at least tell my story. I was born in Mexico in 1972. My dad was a migrant field worker, and he went to California in 1950. And he worked the fields, and he picked strawberries, tomatoes, and lettuce.
He taught you a good work ethic, didn't he?
He sure did. He sure did. For 22 years, he did that. In 1976, he was afforded the opportunity to sponsor his family. Of course, I was one, 3 siblings, and my mother. So he brought us to Los Angeles, and he continued to work, and he was injured. But we had enough money, and he invested in a small pig farm. So I grew up on a pig farm, which continued to teach me some strong work ethic. In 1995, at the request of some military officers, requested an expedition for citizenship, and I was naturalized. And I had a beautiful ceremony on August 14, 1995.
What was that golden moment like for you?
It was quite special. It was me, the judge, and 5 military officers, and my parents. And I swore on that day my first oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Amen.
And for the last 15 years, I'll let you know that I've been proud to wear the uniform of the United States Army.
Yes.
Thank you. I was a commander of a National Guard unit in New York City, in the Bronx. On September 11, 2001, my unit was mobilized, and we're at ground zero 2 hours after both towers had fell. I can't begin to describe the feeling and the horror and the devastation at ground zero. And that day, for the blessings that had been given to me by this country, solidified my commitment to the oath that I took to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was mobilized, and I went to Iraq in 2004. And actually, going back to the World Trade Center, I brought with me an American flag that's been with me since.
Amen.
And if this flag could tell a story of our journey together since that day, since the first time I flew it at ground zero, it would make you cry. Because when I think about it, it brings tears to my eyes and makes the back of my hair stand up.
You can share a little something.
Well, the flag cannot tell the story, so I have to do it for it, and I'm trying to do it the best way that I can. And I've been working on that with some folks helping me put that together professionally, so it's nicely done. And we're almost finished with it, so I will have it on my website, hectorforfreedom.com. You know, interesting, you know where the name Hector comes from? It's Greek. Hector was a Greek warrior, and that's what I want to be for America, an American warrior to fight to defend the Constitution of the United States.
Amen.
And I've done that for the last 15 years, starting at ground zero. I went to Iraq, and I took my flag, and I flew it everywhere. And then in 2008, New York National Guard called me, and they were mobilized to go to Afghanistan. And I volunteered to go to Afghanistan because personally, that brought me full circle to where it all started on September 11, 2001.
My son is a chief warrant officer, and he has to go over there in August. And so what is it like over there?
You know, when New York called me and they said, we're going to Afghanistan, I didn't hesitate. I said, I'm with you. I'm coming. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was living in Missouri. I live in Sullivan. And I said, I'm going with you. So I called my boss, and I said, hey, I was mobilized. I didn't tell him I volunteered. This was with the National Guard, and I transferred to New York, and I went to Afghanistan. I thought it was the right thing to do. Personally, it brought me full circle to where it all started, and I always felt this obligation to go to where we were attacked from. So I went to Afghanistan. I was an embedded combat advisor with an Afghan infantry unit. It was me and Staff Sergeant Cunningham, the only 2 Americans with 137 Afghan soldiers. When they told me, okay, well, hey, here's your orders, here's your equipment, here's your M4, and here's your 9mm. You're going to be working with 137 Afghan soldiers by yourselves. And I said, wow. I was a little apprehensive, to be honest, not knowing whether I can trust 137 Afghan soldiers, me and my other American counterpart. But working with them, it was amazing how they protected me. And many of them died to save me, to protect me.
Right?
In battle, a lot of them fought to keep me alive. So it was a moving experience, and it's an experience that I'll never forget. It was probably the most important mission, the most important job, yet the most fun job and the scariest job that the Army has ever asked me to do, is to deploy overseas with a bunch of strange soldiers of the Islamic faith and work with them.
You know, here we are in the United States, and we feel so, for the most part, safe and secure. You know, and we don't have any knowledge of what our soldiers are going through, men and women alike, that are protecting our country.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't get the full picture from the media. You get a little bit, maybe I would say 10%, and then the other 90%, they make it up. They sensationalize a lot. They only cover the bad aspects of war. And, you know, war is horrible. I don't like war, but there comes times where you have to fight. There's a threat, there's a danger, there's a threat to our very existence and freedom.
Yes.
And you have to fight. Well, after I came back from Afghanistan, I was laid off. So I went through, you know, some of the hard times that 672,000 other people that were laid off the same month I was laid off, and I didn't find a job for 10 months. I went back in the Army. And I just couldn't stay in the Army anymore. I was thinking back to the oath that I took to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'd done so for 15 years against a foreign enemy.
And somehow in between you found time to go to college and get your degrees and all that.
I did. I graduated in 1996 with a major in political science. So I know a little bit about our government, our founding, our history, and how it's supposed to operate. Not how it operates now, because they're not operating in accordance with our Constitution.
No, that's right.
But I know our founding. I am a passionate lover of American history, our founding. It's what God created. It's what God gave us through the brilliant minds of our founding fathers. It's amazing, the genius of our founding fathers. But
yes.